Hey there, folks. Welcome to Spectrum Pulse. We talk about music, movies, art, and culture. And today's a big one. We're going to be talking about the debut album from Cardi B called Invasion of Privacy. So I think it's about time I discuss something from my past that has continued to spark a lot of controversy to this day and has been used by a lot of people as a very cheap attempt to discredit my critical opinion. That one time I gave Iggy Azalea's debut album, the new classic, a very light 7 out of 10. Don't worry, I'll tie it all together. I have a point with this. Because in hindsight, that looks really bad for me, especially considering the hard tailspin her career took in the years that followed, and how everybody really wants to forget just how those singles ruled 2014, and how her phony accent and ignorant behavior effectively discredited her from the jump in everybody's eyes, except the larger mainstream population. So it might actually surprise you all for me to say I mostly stand by that review. Mostly because I think a lot of the criticisms she got were kind of bullshit. Oh, she's an awful human being and is completely ignorant and says disgusting things, and oh hi 6ix9ine, Kodak Black, and XXXTentacion. So where's our moral high ground here again? Oh, but wait, she was clearly co-opting an accent that was not her own to sound hard and pay no attention to the Drake over there in the corner, to say nothing of the dozens of bargain barrel rappers who have hopped on the Migos flow, including more experienced MCs who should all really know better. And if all that smacks of whataboutism, well, yeah, it is. But it's more highlighting the hypocrisy inherent in the mainstream rap hype cycle. And yet that's not to excuse the very real issues with the new classic. It's all over the place, it kind of falls apart in the final few songs, the production can feel kind of flimsy and dated. It's a slice of shallow pop rap that I probably gave a little bit too much hype at the time. It would probably get a slightly lower score now from me, but what do you want? It was my first year of reviewing albums. And yet, let's get real. It effectively delivers what it set out to do, with really solid flows, strong charisma, occasionally decent wordplay, and good hooks. And yet, that being said, it was a record built for pop rap disposability, and like countless other pop rappers before and after her, I'm not surprised Iggy Azalea couldn't really follow it up. And thus when we have Cardi B this time around, really I see so many of the same characteristics. I'm sorry. Strong flows, tons of personality, occasionally decent wordplay and good hooks, and what do you know? Her breakout hit was a flow jacked outright from another rapper. A worse rapper, but still the point stands. Hell, you're already seeing analogous authenticity questions, from Cardi B transitioning from stripper and reality show star to rapper, to Iggy Azalea's more complicated underground come-up. And it's that last comparison that had me worried about this album, despite some critics already salivating over it. Iggy Azalea had time to really refine her debut in a real active mentor figure, whereas Cardi B, despite those mixtapes, she's had to pull together a record very quickly. And while a good production team can pull off a lot, especially when this much money is on the line, there was reason to believe this could go awry really fast. But hey, I'll give Cardi B a lot of credit for what she's done in her lane thus far, and like with Iggy Azalea, if she stuck the landing, I was prepared to praise this, so how is Invasion of Privacy? Honestly, it's alright. Not great, but definitely above average. And if anything, the fact that I'm not really surprised about that raises a much more concerning question. Essentially, if you really like the singles that Cardi B has released thus far, you'll probably really like this album, because it's essentially just more of that. And since I'm mixed to positive on those songs, that parallels how I feel about Invasion of Privacy as a whole. But what concerns me is that I'm not really seeing that added spark of dimensionality that comes with a little bit more care and refinement. Something that would convince me Cardi B would have some staying power on later records. I mean, this is a good start, but I'm not really seeing more of that promise. Now, granted, she'll do fine enough on personality alone. And if you're looking for a reason to listen to this album at all, she is it. She'll be the moment that will either make it or break it for you. Now, it can be a little tricky to put my finger on what I like about that personality, but the comparison that kept coming back to me wasn't someone like Nicki Minaj, who always seemed to carry so much more pomp and circumstance, but early Ludacris. And yeah, I mean that as a compliment. I mean, think about it. The exaggerated delivery, a big goofy sense of humor that comes pretty naturally, not afraid to get a little bit extra at points, rather underrated when it comes to a lot of the technical skills. All of that fits with Cardi B. And the fact that she's still very much hungry with something to prove, that's a huge asset for her. She's actually trying, and you can tell. This is where the contrast with her guest stars becomes so damn important on this album. Yeah, she'll do fine opposite Migos on Drip, and she co pokes out what might actually be a sense of humor from 21 Savage on Barche Cardi. Something about him wanting to hot sauce on his chicken is just kind of amusing how he delivers that line. But she's best when paired with an artist who can match her more playful sense of vivaciousness, which is why she bounces off so well off SZA on the hook of I Do, or how, well, she can't really match Chance the Rapper's natural charisma on his verse as he effectively runs away with the song. She puts forward a pretty damn solid effort. I respect her for that. But on the flip side, it's not like Kehlani's let-in presence does much one way or the other, not really good on Ring, and I was especially disappointed in YG on She Bad, a thuddingly obvious DJ Mustard trap song that not only feels 4 years out of date, but also shows him completely phoning in his verse. He's really capable of a lot better. But fine, what is Cardi B actually rapping about? Well, this is where we start to stumble a little bit, because for as much as Cardi B will flex with increasing bombast, plenty of sex and brand names, a lot of the formula from Bodak Yellow comes back for her in earnest, as well as very similar flows. It's hard not to get the feeling that some of this will start to get a bit repetitive. Now, going back to the Iggy Azalea comparison for a second, one of the reasons why the new classic actually had some staying power in the deep cuts was the blunt honesty surrounding how she was broke and alone in the American South and she had to claw her way out. It was telling more of that come-up story. And Cardi B does touch on that too with songs like Get Up 10, the opening track, but beyond that, any deeper moments of introspection or vulnerability feel very few and far between, which is a damn shame because her come-up offered a very different and welcome perspective of which I wanted to hear more details. But this is an album that's a lot more interested in celebrating its success, and when you have Chance the Rapper and SZA backing her up, or even when she's solo on Bodak Yellow, Bickenhead, and especially Moneybag, a song I liked way more than I thought I would, Cardi B can carry that lane, especially when she varies her flow. But when you step away from that lane, the record can start losing some flavor. For as much as the gossip surrounding Offset potentially cheating on Cardi B has swirled around this album, she's stated that tracks like Be Careful and Through Your Phone, they aren't about him, even though you can clearly tell both songs rely on gossip for any real weight, with Be Careful just feeling more clumsy and Through Your Phone relying on overheat and murderous melodrama, then I'm not sure the Melanie Martinez-esque hook from Ali Temposi can remotely sell properly. Also, they're both totally about Offset. Then there's Ring, which tries to show some more vulnerability in questioning who will call first in this relationship, but it feels thin on the details and defaults to Cardi B bragging about her awesomeness yet again, and Kehlani's not helping her. And look, she's definitely got her fair share of quotable punchlines on this project, but at the same time, even at her most colorful and sexually explicit moments, it relies a lot more on brand name references, and it's hard to feel like whatever Cardi B is delivering here, Cupcake is doing with a lot more flair, and she did so in FRIs earlier this year. Now granted, part of this what comes through and I think is the album's biggest weakness: the production. Going back to Bodak Yellow, for as immediately catchy as that song is in its hook, there is a melodic foundation to that song that just is not there across a distressing number of the rest of these tracks. Leaden bass, trap snare, hi-hat, maybe an underweight synth flourish if we're lucky. A lot of this sounds like it could have been pulled from The Culture too, and that's not a good sign. And when you consider how often Cardi B's voice clips the front of the mix, or just how sloppy the mixing can feel overall, that grainy beat on Through Your Phone or the flattened vocals on Ring are both really big offenders there, it's hard not to feel like some of this was rushed. Hell, Drip sounds like a Culture 2 Migos song because there's no real underlying melody to it, which is kind of a shame because especially Takeoff is really on his game there, and the song should be better. That's one reason I'm a little bit more forgiving of the blaring, almost atonal synths on songs like Moneybag or I Do, or the Project Pat sample on Bickenhead. It can make the songs feel a little darker than they probably should. Barche Cardi is the same issue, but at least there's a little bit more flavor to them. It's also one reason I didn't love the Chance the Rapper collaboration as much as I wanted to, because if you give that song some horns or some brighter production compared to the muted melodic warble and fizzy flutter, it could have had huge potential to be a real hit. That's one reason I really like the Latin flourishes on I Like It with the old Pete Rodriguez sample. Not only does it skip past the reggaeton cliches and show yet again that Cardi B can easily handle groovier Latin production just like La Modelo, but also that the more colorful and garish her production is, the more it matches a lot of her personality, just like it was with Ludacris. Hell, you throw away Bad Bunny and J Balvin, put Daddy Yankee on this song, you would have a worldwide smash. Guarantee it. Daddy Yankee, remix this song. Now, there are definitely some other nitpicks. I'm not really wowed by Cardi B's singing. Some hooks can run a little bit long. She can stumble on the beat a little bit on the fastest flows here. But overall, I'm left thinking this is a pretty decent, even pretty good project. With another 3 months of refinement, this could have been great. And I don't think this is all her fault. Bodak Yellow blew up more than I think anybody could have predicted. The turnaround time was probably unfeasible, and nobody besides Cardi B seemed to have any faith that her star was gonna last. Hell, I think everybody is as surprised her cosigns are as big as they are on this debut. Honestly, I think she probably could have cut this down to a tight 6 or 7 track EP of all fire and reaped really big rewards as she refined the full-length debut album. But in the era of stream trolling, I'm not surprised we got a full 13, even if I do think it weakens the overall project, which is kind of a shame. I wanted this to be better. As such, I'm giving it a very strong 6 out of 10, but I will say the good cuts are definitely worth your time, and you're probably going to want to get used to hearing Cardi B this year, because there are songs on this album that will blow up. It's not great. At the moment, I think it's a bit overhyped, but again, I think she's got a lot of potential, and I'm okay to see her go on here. So yeah, you know what? Check this out. Not bad. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching. Like to like and subscribe, I'd be more than grateful. I know I said I got Panopticon on my schedule first, but given my computer issues, which I mentioned on Twitter, I figured I want to patch out something that's pretty fast as I still try to get everything organized on my end. And besides, that Panopticon record's like 2 hours. Give me some time to really take it in. Beyond that, if you want to actually buy the record, links below, and I got the poll up there for all you guys to tell me how wrong I am and how I'm totally underrating this. Although, keep in mind, if I re-rated that Iggy Azalea record, it would probably get the same thing, if not a little less. And keep in mind, I didn't know about the whole faking her accent thing when I covered the album, just stating that. Beyond that, if you guys want to get involved in supporting this channel or impacting my schedule, link to my Patreon is right over there, where 3 times a week you guys get to vote on my schedule, and once a week for the higher tier contributors, you guys get to add albums, movies, or even a top 10 list to that schedule. More details right over there, and if you want to see the schedule, it's on my Instagram, link below. Until next time, I'm Mark, you're watching Spectrum Pulse, and I'll see you next time.